important, I've always believed, that we talk to everybody. If there are groups of people who are causing problems for a particular country, there's no point in continuing to attack them, because that then creates more deaths, that then leads to more people who will join those groups. So while there has to be a balance between carrot and stick, there's no point in always using a stick. So I've been a great believer in the importance of dialogue and engagement, and I spent quite a lot of my time when I was in Parliament talking to groups of people, particularly in the Middle East, who nobody else was necessarily talking to. And until the Arab Spring, I thought I was making progress. Unfortunately, it's all disappeared now in a puff of smoke. But one of the reasons I went into politics is it's a great opportunity if you feel passionately about things, if there are things that you want to change, to bring about change. And while I went into business and I earned money, for me, money was a means to an end. I can live comfortably, I can fly to Moscow without anybody paying for me, I can stay in hotels without people paying for me, which gives me a little bit more independence to say what I want to say and do what I want to do. But I'll give a couple of examples in politics of what I did that when I went in, I didn't expect to give. So I remember my first debate I went into, which was a treasury debate, finance. So I was a financial person, so I thought, you know, I know more than everybody else, I'm going to go into this debate. But one of the things that struck me was that on my side, I was Conservative MP, that there were only 3 women. And on the other side, there were about 26 women on the Labour side. So I thought, this is strange. Why do we have so few women in my party? And we only had 17 in total of MPs. And I thought from business, at least a third of the people in the room I would go to in a business meeting would be women. Women lawyers, women accountants, women bankers. And I suddenly go into politics and less than 10% have women. So I decided to start an organization in my party called Women to Win, whose objective was to try and engage with women who were not necessarily interested in politics, but to think about politics, and to give them the support that men had. So when I wanted to go in, I had lots of male friends. They told me how to write my speech, how to do my resume or CV, how to dress, because I looked like a slob always, what shoes to wear, always wear a white shirt, and that small bits of help helped me get selected to be a member of Parliament. Women had no network like that. So with another female MP, we created that network. And surprisingly, over 10 years, 2 elections, we went from 17 women MPs to 68 women MPs, which was a huge change. And that changed the culture, I think, of my party politically. Because if something is very male-dominated, decisions become very male-dominated. I think, you know, we may all be equal, but we're different. And we each bring different things when we bring our thought processes to legislation and bills and arguments. The second thing that I got involved in was, after 2008 crash, was youth unemployment was very high in the UK. It was double what it was in normal unemployment. So to hire somebody in the UK, you pay tax. You pay what's called national insurance contributions. So if I want to hire somebody, I have to pay extra insurance for that. So I persuaded the Chancellor at the time to abolish the extra tax if anybody under 25 was hired. And from that, we managed to reduce unemployment for young people. So that today, in the UK, youth unemployment is around 3–3.5%. In places like Spain or Portugal or Italy or Greece, it's still around 30%. So I found having a great platform was a good opportunity to do good things in politics. There are other things I can talk about, but those are two examples of things that I did that when I went into politics I didn't think that I would do. But we're all here problem solvers. The whole point of what we do is if we see a problem, we need to come up with solutions. There's no point in seeing a problem and expecting someone else to fix it. One of the lessons I learned also is you've always got to try and do things. You may not succeed, and fear of failure becomes something that stops a lot of people, I think, doing things in life, things that they want to do. But I believe, through my experience, that only by taking risks in trying to do things that we want to do can we actually achieve whatever dreams that we might have. But just because you fail once or twice or 3 times doesn't mean necessarily that you still can't try one more time to try and get what you want to do. So I've talked a little bit about what's out there. I'm happy to answer questions also on if you want to talk about UK-Russia relations as well. I won't raise that subject unilaterally, but I'm really open to a dialogue now, so feel free to... You go? Okay, thank you for coming, thank you. So now we can really talk what we want to say. Okay, so who wants to start? Yes?
You mentioned
Brexit, yeah?
Brexit. And what is your attitude towards it, if it's not secret?
Sure. I was pro-Brexit. I wanted Brexit to happen. Now, why did I want Brexit to happen? So, I believe in free trade. I want countries to have free trade between themselves. But what the European Union became was a big political bloc, in my view. So, as somebody in Parliament, I found that up to 60% of our laws were being decided by other countries. Now, it would be a little bit like Russia joining a bigger organization and having somebody else, other countries, somebody in Luxembourg or Belgium or France, saying these are going to be your laws. Now, when you go see your parliamentarian and they say, I don't like this law, you say, it's not up for me, it's in Brussels. You know? And the person sitting in front of you, but I elect you, I don't elect somebody from Brussels. So this thing called democratic deficit, or sovereignty. So I believed in the sovereignty of our parliament, number one. I think number two, I think because our economy was doing very well, and we're a small island, lots of people wanted to come to our country. I think it's great, everybody wants to come to UK. That shows we're doing something right. But the problem is there are 350 million people in Europe, and we're a tiny island. We can't take everybody. So I wanted some control over our borders on the number of people coming in. Now, if we need people to sweep the streets, or we need software engineers, or nurses, or doctors, or teachers, that's fine. Then we say, this is the list of people that we need, and we'll allow in people with those qualifications. The problem was, there were 2 or 3 million people just coming to the UK without any work, and I think undermining people who were working hard by taking cash, less cash, but also using our hospitals, using our schools, getting child benefit, and so that caused huge tension amongst particularly the working classes, blue-collar workers in the UK. So to give you an example, in the Brexit vote, normally on the big working class estates, where there'd be very low turnout in a general election, something like 15% of people would turn out to vote there. I would vote, all my middle class friends would vote, but working class people, because what's the point of voting? We can't change anything. On Brexit, over 80% turned out. So I think we have to look at the message in that. So immigration was a second issue. So sovereignty, immigration. The third issue was economic. We have a liberal economy in the UK. We generally believe in low taxation and less regulation. The EU believes in high taxation and more regulation. So that is not within my philosophy. And they wanted to equalize us all the same. So the French were complaining, your taxes are too low. We want your taxes to be higher because your companies are competing unfairly with our companies. And my view is tough, you know. Low taxation is a good thing. Do you think philosophically that you are better spending your money or the government? The answer is you. And that's a rhetorical question. So on those three issues, I voted for Brexit, support Brexit, and the majority of people in the UK voted for Brexit. Yeah.
Oh, hey.
And by the way, if I'm talking too fast, stop me. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, my name is Idar, I'm a student, and I'm wondering if I can ask like 3 questions. Is that alright?
If I can remember them all. Sure. I have a small brain. Okay.
Okay, so
Take them one at a time. First
Alright.
question.
So the first question would be, why do you think so many youngsters support such socialists like Corbyn? Because we all know, like, it's obvious that the more socialist a certain government becomes, the more it becomes corrupt and more incapable of taking care of its own citizens.
Yeah. So usually with young people, they tend to I was never like that. I moved from maybe right to a little less right as I've gotten older. Most people start left and go right. When you're young, you tend to be idealistic. Corbyn appeals to an idealism. And if you're not paying taxes, of course someone who says everything is for free